All right, so I'm going to talk about two books, one written by Pinar and one written by Apple, two distinguished academics in the field of education. Now, so Pinar's book is on curriculum theory and Apple's is on educating the right way. So he talks about God, markets, and inequalities. Now, both of these authors intellectually historicized the major evolutions that characterized education in the United States over the past 40 to 60 years. Pinar specifically presents a series of vignettes that allow us to understand how education has been punctuated by gender, by racism, by discrimination, by corporatism, by government politics, but also by social justice and civil rights activism. Apple, on the other hand, shows how education has become a theater or a center for the struggle, for control and competing discourses by the powers that drive the political agendas in the United States. So, for example, the neoliberals, the neocons, and the authoritarian populists on one side, on the right. Then on the left, you have the leftists, and then also somewhere in the right, wherever you want to put them, you have the managerial class. One central thing about these groups is that they all seem to espouse a view about marketizing education. Now, so the two books, just a couple of key points that I would like to flag out, to reflect on these books. One is that the two authors argue that in the midst of these competing discourses, there is an inherent consequence of a thesis that is anti-intellectualism, a thesis that robs education of intellectualism. And I think this is an important point to address as, for example, the German social theorist Habermas argues that the hope of a modern society lies in argumentation. So it's important that we maintain a spirit of intellectualism in education. But sometimes I don't know if we miss the point, because I would just say Apple and Pinar wouldn't have written these books if we didn't have these contentious debates about what should be in the curriculum. And in Nova Scotia, for example, recently I did see a student who went to school with a t-shirt that said, "A life without Jesus Christ is a waste." And I think parents were infuriated and wanted to keep their kids from going to school. But in fact, they should have taken the opportunity to engage students and their kids to intellectualize the issue. Why do you think religion is important to be discussed in school? Why do you think one needs to believe in Jesus Christ? I think we miss the opportunity sometimes. The other point that I would like to talk about, these authors mentioned, is why when the teacher is blamed when the student is not doing well. Why can't we blame the doctors when health is not working? Why can't we blame lawyers when there is a problem with law enforcement? Well, I think it's a valid argument, point. And it's also aligned with the other position or question that one would ask, why everybody wants to talk about education? Why can't we leave it with the connoisseurs, the experts? Well, my view on that is because I think education is a central institution for society. We look to education metaphorically as a breeding factory, for our labor force, for leaders, for instilling in young people values. So everybody is interested in education. Unfortunately, everybody who comes to contribute is not an expert, so then we run into these problems. The other point I think, these authors talk about is the standardization or pre-packaging of materials that is highly driven and the discourse around education. Well, I come from Liberia, and I just give a personal experience. In Liberia, I went to a school where I was subject to a pre-packaged test that came from a Chicago-based education consortium. It's called Science Research Associates. So I kept taking those tests, and I realized that today, when I came to North America, it has allowed me to easily integrate into the school system. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is linked to globalization, saying that, you know what you studied in Singapore actually has to be related to what is happening in the United States. But otherwise, I think these guys made a very, very interesting points, interesting arguments in this book. But everybody is concerned about education as a a central issue, a central focus of discussion in society, because when you send your kids to school, well, they are likely to be given new values, and so everybody is is encouraged to be a part of this discussion. And I think it's a good point. We shouldn't miss the opportunity to engage them. Thank you, guys.